No, you don't. Like, that's what I said. I said, I do it. It's like, there's no, it's just bits.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my word. What? That's a warm-up.
This is what I warm-up's about, eh?
This is how to get
Yeah, taking the follows up.
We're worried. Just to let you know, there is a microphone around you. I was definitely hearing all sorts of
I know, exactly. I actually need to video it one day because it's the ABBA songs that get me. Is there an old Georgians chappie in charge that I can say hello to?
Not me, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, mate, good. Same old, same old. We're doing this still in the sunny yeah, we've been like both of Bart and I both it's like a black tent there. Everyone. As in, there's no fast. It's on a plate. But yeah, like, it's really nice. But it's like, my missus has never had it before. And it's just like, you give me a like, just drinks constantly. Just like, you can't do it. Like, it's just overwhelmed that there's someone who's willing to just like fall asleep on the sofa. Yeah, that means like, so yeah, we're like, sometimes, but it's 6. Yeah. Don't ignore that.
So.
Simo?
Yeah, I think we're fine without it. Yeah, yeah. Cheers.
Also that as well.
Come on, you. Yellow ball, cheers, mate. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Very kind. Yeah, wait for the yellow light. Yellow. Yeah, go on, Tom. On, Bibbs. Go on, lads. Let's go. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. Come on. Yeah, good. 30 seconds, guys. Done. Come on, non-bibs. Good. Yeah, JB. Little JB. Hang on, now. Yep. I got Gallus. Yeah, line off this. Yep. Full on. Go the other one. Okay, well done. Stop. Come in, please, guys. Run, Adam.
Good afternoon and welcome once again to St George's College in Weybridge, Surrey, the Dragon's Lair for the England Hockey Premier League matchup between Old Georgians Hockey Club and Oxted Hockey Club. Brought to you on this live stream by Galvanised Hockey and streaming sponsors OMB, the payroll experts. Old Georgians going today having played a full 4 games. 2 dominant home wins here see them second in the league table, whilst Oxted had a bye week last week, so have played only 3. Their highlight, the 2-0 win against the University of Exeter, last week's visitors here. A solitary 3 points that sees them sitting 8th in the table, just above the student side that they beat. Every game has such importance in this new format, with the league splitting at Christmas. The top teams going on to challenge for championships and European positions, and the bottom ones just to ensure their survival. Whilst OGs are sitting pretty now, points earned carry forward into the second half competition. So while on current form they'll make that top group, every point still counts. So there we have that league table. Old Georgians in second. The usual names at the top. Oxted sitting in 8th, ahead of Brooklands Manchester University, the University of Exeter, as we say, over whom they got that winning victory, and then the University of Durham just propping up the bottom of the table. So for Oxted, their current form suggests that sneaking upwards into that top group has to be their objective. And with the same number of goals conceded as Old Georgians, it does suggest that they're solid at the back. With only 4 goals scored and 3 of those from the penalty corner specialist Tim Guys-Brown, it's the other end of the pitch that's causing them problems. We spoke earlier to a couple of their management team and they were suggesting that it's their conversion rate that is troubling them. Against East Grinstead, where they lost 2-1, they were in the circle 29 times, whereas East Grinstead were only in there 9 times. So it just goes to show you have to take your chances. So after that game here, the first live stream game from Galvanised, we got some match highlights of the game when OGs ran out 5 goals to 1, and we can bring those to you right now.
Really, really good to see.
Atkins dinking field, goes to the push pass in, gets a touch from Tyndall, stepping in front of his defender. The faintest of touches, Aidy Green absolutely certain that it had been touched. A hard push pass in from Atkins, seeming to penetrate straight through the heart of the defence. Same setup. Double Castle out to Carson's Castle. He pulls through it. There's the flick we're talking about. If you're on that left-hand Castle, it opens up the goalkeeper's left if you can get the slider away. He does so, beats Seeger Green's left foot and the postman down low. Georgians 2, University of Exeter none. Free hit. 3 or 4 metres outside the Georgian circle. Go back to that point play. They've done that several times, looking to try and see Max Lowry trying to distribute. They've gone left and firing it in. Scott past there, touch in, there's a goal! In on the tip in, Owen Evans getting the ball in. Duncan Scott with the hit from that left-hand side. Georgians looking a little bit on the back foot. It went through Ashley Jackson on the direct line. That is exactly what the students needed.
Yeah, I think they initially backtracked and then started to redeflate the ball, and like you say, he stepped forward to take that, and then unlucky not quite getting that connection forward.
Now Tormont on the last defender. Shingles cuts to the left-hand side on his backhand, plays the cross! Now, having seen a couple of things in pre-season, Shingles doesn't score many goals apparently, but that is a beautiful backhand past Seeger Green's extended left foot. University of Exeter turned over in midfield, but that's a great finish.
Yeah, and as you say, that's not a thing we expect to see from Dan Shingles, but he's had a good few opportunities in pre-season, but he's obviously just been saving them up for the season to start. That's another one to add to the tally.
Georgians now counter-attack. They've got space. Duran on the right finds Aubrey in the middle. He's got his eyes up, cuts in field, sees a straight pass out on that left-hand side. There's a pick and a hit and a touch. What a counter-attack goal that is. From the top of their own circle is James Carson with the final touch. What a fabulous attack. Inspired step forwards defensively. And then what was that, 4 or 5 passes? Brilliant. Making sure that players are fresh because they want to retain that physical intensity. Lovely little ball inside, finds Shingles right on the end of his stick. Extension, one arm, comes into the top of the circle. Can he get more? He does get more! Shingles, for whom goal scoring isn't something that'd be at the top of his hockey CV. He blasted a reverse just halfway through this game. He's then dribbled in and somehow popped the ball through a crowd of players past Sigurd Green's right hand. He must have been unsighted with defenders crossing over in front of him.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what we're seeing here. Dan Shingles has got 2 goals.
Both of whom you have to say have umpired very well, because we haven't spoken about them at all. And that, whilst that sounds bad, that's exactly what the players want. They want a game that flows. They want nothing to be controversial, contentious. Tyndall tucks that inside, but it's going to come to nothing, because that is the final whistle. 4 quarters, 17.5 minutes each have flown by here at St George's College in Weybridge for the Premier League game between Old Georgians and the University of Exeter. A game where the University of Exeter really went toe-to-toe for certainly the first half, and were a little unlucky that they didn't equalise just before the stroke of half-time, but then Georgians were able to take the game away from them. I'm Simon Mason. I'm joined once again by the 3 musketeers of colour comms from OGs. Taking the baton out of the blocks is Chris Griffiths, 104 caps for England and Great Britain. Probably looking forward, however, to the next game he will have, which is actually here, hopefully soon, in his first season with the club. Chris, welcome. What were your thoughts on that game from last week? You'll have had a week to look back at it, to analyse it, I'm sure. How do you think it panned out?
Yeah, hi, great to be back here again. I think you've pretty much summed it up spot on there. I think at the start of the game, we kind of knew what they were going to be like. Very well organised, hard-working team, and that showed in the first half. They were very hard to break down. Getting 2 goals up was good, and then obviously letting them back in. Slight nerves, but I think towards the end of the game we sort of showed our class and composure, and were able to kind of seal out in the end a comfortable victory.
It did feel comfortable in the end. Obviously they're down towards the bottom table, as are Oxted, sitting in that 8th out of 11. What would be your expectations for today? Something similar from your guys, I would expect, but in terms of what they might do to you?
Yeah, spot on. So they're probably going to play a slightly different way to the team last week, in the fact that they'll probably play man-to-man today, looking at the scouting. And you can tell already in the warm-up there's a lot of buzz, they're dancing around, and they're just excited to be in the top flight. And that always brings a lot of nerves playing against teams like that, because they've got essentially nothing to lose. They're new into the league, and they want to prove that they're willing to be here, and they're working hard to do that.
Well, let's see if we can see what they've done so far. I think we've got highlights to bring you from their first 3 games in the season so far. Let's see if it demonstrates that excitement.
The final match of the weekend saw newly promoted Oxted face the short trip to East Grinstead. Luke Emmett put the home side ahead in the 4th minute. Louis Gittins then scored a well-taken penalty corner deflection to double the lead in the 3rd quarter. Timothy Guys Brown gave the visitors hope in the 63rd minute, but there was to be no further scoring, and East Grinstead ended up by winning 2 goals to 1. The University of Durham's first match in the Premier Division was at Old Georgians. James Carson fired the home side ahead in the 10th minute, with Tom Carson doubling the advantage in the 24th. James Carson then added a 3rd shortly before half-time. The home side ran away with it after the break. James Tyndall got his first of the season before Sam Ward scored the first goal of what would become a hat-trick by the 64th minute. After that, there was still time for James Carson to add his 3rd and Old Georgians 8th. Two sides without any points this season so far met at Oxted, with the University of Exeter the visitors. After a goalless first half, Peter Friend opened the scoring for Oxted, with the victory being sealed 5 minutes later, with Timothy Guys Brown sneaking in for his 3rd of the season.
Chris, those last highlights, Oxted versus the University of Exeter, that's a game that the University of Exeter would have gone into with their Premier League pedigree, thinking that's points they should take. For Oxted, hugely important. I alluded earlier on to this split in the league. It essentially means that every game is crucial. Points gained just to try and sneak up. For Oxted particularly, does that give opportunity or create additional pressure? Will it prey on minds as we get further into the season?
Yes, I think every team that comes up, they kind of want to play the same way as they have done to get into the league. But as you said, as results tend not to go their way, they might try and play slightly differently, but I think, as you saw last week, they really went out and handed the game to Exeter, and you saw exactly what it meant there with those celebrations to get that win last week.
And then for Georgians, obviously they have the intention to try and create this team that can compete in Europe, win European titles as well as domestic titles. Last week we saw a really, really direct approach. Every free hit in midfield was looking route one. Is that a theme is that a new theme to this season, or is that something that you know that has been a team dynamic all the way through their progress through the lower leagues up to this point?
Yeah, I think the one way we want to play is direct. Obviously, a lot of teams now are setting up zonally, and as soon as you break down or you win a free hit, it kind of tends to take teams 2 or 3 seconds to set up, and that's when the opportunity to play direct occurs. So, yeah, it's very much a plan of ours is to try and get the ball deep into the circle as early as possible for our forwards to get on the end of.
And that ability to play in the same way relies on an understanding within a squad and a consistency of a squad. And we've just had breaking news here that not only the injury list that means that I get the 3 of you up here to chat to yourself, Andy Bull and Lee Morton, we've also got obviously Sam Ward out with a broken hand, and now we hear that Liam Stanford isn't going to be playing, so a late replacement for him is Dan Bowden. How much of an impact does that have, obviously having 5 world-class players taken out of your team? I'll call you world-class, you don't look at that or not, with the amount of experience you have. To take those type of players out must have a huge impact.
Well, yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, it does. It's obviously, but as a squad, you know, we train the same nights as the twos, and there's a lot of integration between the squads, and I think that's fantastic. So then, as you said, today with Dan coming in, he's trained with us all season, and we know what it's about. We know he knows how we want to play. So yes, obviously missing Liam is going to be a big blow, but in terms of filling in the gap, we have every confidence in the players stepping in that they're going to do a fantastic job in there.
The one big question, Liam obviously international domestic first choice #1 runner on corners. 3 out of 4 goals for Oxted come from penalty corners. That has to raise a small question in everybody's minds for that change.
Yeah, again, obviously a big blow corner-wise, but you know he's not the only runner we've got. We've got Shing's, he's also very good in that position. So again, someone else steps in and hopefully does a really good job in that position.
Well, I'm talking Shing stepping in. Shing stepped up last week. There was joy in the nearly empty stands, but as many people as are allowed here. No spectators, unfortunately, allowed, but the groups around the teams, as he stepped up and scored not 1 but 2. Unusual, but fabulous that players can step into different roles.
Yeah, spot on, and I think that kind of showed last week in terms of breaking down teams. Sometimes you need a bit of class, which Dan definitely showed last week.
Well, it's behind us. We can hear the last-minute calls. The pictures showing OG's just getting themselves ready. Mike Hughes, head coach here, just going through the front of that picture. Oxted in the white shirts coming out from their dugout behind us, adhering to all the social distancing protocols. Everybody trying to stay as safe as they possibly can. The school here having done a fantastic job just to allow teams on site. I know that a lot of hockey clubs across the country are struggling with access to facilities. St George's College allowing this elite level hockey to take place, and sides travelling and fulfilling fixtures as much as they possibly can. All the way down the leagues across the country, I know the players just want to get out and play. Fearing for the worst if lockdown carries on, but until that happens, we are out here in the second of the live stream games brought to you by Galvanised Hockey and OMB, the payroll experts. We are just moments away from the start of this. Our umpires today, Neil Smith and Martin Twist. They give a whistle to say there's 2 minutes to go. As always, Chris, with games like this, when it's a little unknown. The last time these two teams met was 2018, so what happened then is wholly irrelevant. So the first moment's crucial. What do you think that OGs will be trying to do right from the off?
Yeah, our big game plan is, as you said previously, is trying to play direct, but that definitely comes from our defence. During pre-season and at the start of games, we have looked a little bit suspect in our defence. So our platform today is going to be very, very solid defensively, and hopefully that our counter-attack and attacking prowess will kind of shine through. Having said that, again, Oxted, very strong team. Although they're new to the league, they have got a lot of Premier League experience in there. So yeah, it should be another cracking game.
And players to look out for across that Oxted lineup?
Yeah, it's obviously Fred Whitfield, their keeper. He's Premier League experience, as well as their captain Mark Galloway, Sam Drivers, obviously Premier League players, Nick Giles, all fantastic players with Premier League experience. So, yeah, looking forward to this one.
And on top of that, the two Canadians, Balraj Panesar and Brendan Bissett, have joined this season to add a little international flavour to the Oxted lineup. So just moments away from that pushback. Old Georgians, maroon shirts, maroon shorts and white socks will play from right to left in front of us. Oxted in their white shirts, blue shorts and blue socks, and a smattering of bright pink shoes just to add some colour to the proceedings. We'll play from left to right. Both teams setting up. Ready for this, the 5th game in Old Georgians campaign, the 4th for Oxted.
Yeah.
Two sides at different ends of the table. Let's see if Oxted have seen the highlights of the University of Exeter's game and choose to step out on the front foot and try and put some pressure on the hosts. Oh, there we go. Jackson with his eyes up goes overhead right from minute one. We talked about it early on about the direct nature of OG's play. Shingles on the ball, turns, gets his eyes up, drives into the baseline. That's a great tackle, however, recovery tackle. Shingles back on the ball, wins the first free hit.
Yeah, that's the exact direct play that we're trying to see. So hopefully, trying to think that they're going to step out and try and press us, leaving gaps in behind.
It's that moment as a defender that an overhead's coming down onto your stick, but at the same time in your peripheral vision you can see two players charging at you. If you don't stop it and kill it absolutely dead, just that little bounce off gives opportunity. Jackson taking a slightly deeper roll right from the start. Atkins across to Fleet, taking a little bit of sting out of it, but both players looking up, looking long straight away, looking for longer balls and overheads. Lovely little knock forward from Page. Tackle out. Good movement in defence from Ollie Whiteley. Setting himself. He looks long. Goes to the overhead, flips straight into Messam.
Yeah, although in the warm-up you do have a lot of aerials taken down, you're basically praying as a defender that you're not picked out for that first aerial.
It's right from the off, isn't it? You just go, just check it, just not at me, just not at me. Again, nice little flip off Fleet's wrists. We were talking about that last week, Chris. I'm not sure whether it was with yourself chatting or whether it was the other colour comms guys about, oh, that's gone to the ground. The angle of the overhead, so looking to chuck a 3-iron. We'll come back to that in a minute as Carson just dribbles along the baseline, looking for a foot on a little dink, and it gets knocked over. But yeah, it's the angle, it's the trajectory. It's kind of 3-iron, so it skips and goes forward as opposed to a really high looping one that you can get underneath a lot easier.
Yeah, spot on. So the kind of the loopy ones tend to be the kind of longer 16 aerials, just to try and get a bit more distance. But those flat ones into the D are really dangerous.
Oxted being forced back. Old Georgians happy to press high. Messam trying to go towards the ball, forcing the ball carrier. That's a great steal from Page. Suggestion of a foot in front of us, not blown. Carson looking over his shoulder already, goes onto the backhand to go double team around the circle, around the edge of the circle. Diving tackle from Ollie Whiteley had to be absolutely clean. Player who chooses to go to the ground, if there's any impact with an opponent, unfortunately that's a straight yellow, 10-minute yellow at that if you choose to put yourself on the floor. Perceived to be dangerous play. Interchange Shingles to Jackson. Jackson with a fabulous half upright backhand. And the through ball missed by point player Sam Driver. Pinner's first touch as he gets the ball back into play from behind his baseline.
Watch your right hand.
Inventive little bit of movement from Carson as he's picked that. He's just held and seen it. I love the creativity that you see, and sometimes that's the little difference that unlocks teams.
Yeah, as you said last week, I don't want to mention it too much, but Shings' creativity last week to score a few goals, just saw it from Carson there. Trying to link up with Aubrey, as who we mentioned and we saw last week, has been phenomenal so far this season.
Jake, dead here. Oxted, let's go.
Oxted happy to stretch the play whilst the 16's back away, out of shot, far up, 2 forwards pushing up onto the opponent's 25-yard line. Just trying to create space in midfield, remove some of the congestion. Lovely little 3D skills through midfield from Porter, then turned over. Shingles now with real pace. Good tackle and the foot. Aubrey started it, and it's that desire to get it and go. It's the first 2 yards of acceleration can eliminate an opponent.
Yeah, particularly the way we're trying to set up, you know, trying to force teams into those pockets, as we saw there, then Ulf's picking it up, and then bang, we try and go straight away quickly, and trying to hit teams really aggressively on the counter-attack, as we're seeing here.
What a pass. Carson picks it up, gets it back into play. Is he going to try and do it himself? He's tried a big 360 spin just to get the ball across the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper falling on top of it. There's a foot in there, or it's trapped under the keeper. It's first penalty corner given by umpire Twist. He's on his radio looking for support from Neil Smith, but that's not going to get overruled. So we did manage to have a little chat with James Carson earlier on about penalty corners and the mindset that exists within them.
Penalty corner is perfect. It gives you 5 to 10 seconds, regroup, have a breather, get your mind switched on, and then for the penalty corner, we've gone through the video. We know what they're going to do. We've got our routine sorted now. Looked at the video on the Thursday, know what corner routines we're going to do, and then execute them to the best, get on the rebound, and hopefully snaffle up anything that the keeper saves.
So taking a moment just to regroup was a message I got out of that, and it's so important when play's been flat out right from the first whistle, just players to take a breath and compose themselves. So this is the first penalty corner for OGs. Had a dozen last week, probably wouldn't be happy with their conversion rate. Similarly, Oxted in a pre-game chat that we had said that they weren't happy with theirs either, whilst they got the ferocious flicker off the top themselves. Single castle for Georgians this week. Stop in. Jackson releases it, takes a touch. And whilst it came back to Ben Aubrey, who was given a chance to swing off his back foot, he took the top off the ball and it just popped up harmlessly. Goalkeeper Whitfield doing very well just to react to the deflection off the number 1 runner. And that number 1 runner is so crucial these days because of the power of the flickers, just denying part of the goal.
Yeah, spot on, and I think there's quite a few corners we've had this year that have been charged down, so although we wouldn't be happy with our conversion rate, I think that is partially down to how strong defensively teams are setting up now.
Clean stop yet again. Jackson gets it away, but it's charged down again, and another foot. Brave running. I think that's off the stick of Nick Giles, and it's come down onto his foot. Unlucky. Could have gone absolutely anywhere. Jackson not managing to get the shot away. It's a very, very rapid charge down. Tom Carson on the slip. Assisted wider than that, brother James Carson. Looks like James is going in, whereas Tom will stay at the top looking to provide a little bit of an angle. There's the angle. Hit the post. Somehow Messham's got on top of that. That is a brilliant rebound. There was a defensive touch on the way through. Might have come off Whitfield, the goalkeeper, onto the post, but as it's come back pretty much bang in front of Elliot Messham's head, he's picked it vertically and managed to play it down into the goal.
Yeah, really smart corner. I think sort of recognising that their number 1 runner has been very, very strong. So just using that little slip to kind of create the space for Carson to get the shot off.
Jackson just held the ball long enough to get the number 1 runner coming. It did indeed come off Whitfield onto the post, but lightning fast reactions from Messam gives OGs their first goal. Georgians 1, Oxted 0 after 7 minutes and 45 seconds here at St George's College in Weybridge. Just the timings for anybody who's watching this week compared to last week, we managed to get them completely wrong. It is 4 quarters. Internationally, it's 15 minutes per quarter because they stop the clock for corners. We're not stopping the clock for corners, hence the quarters are 17.5 minutes each. What a pass off his wrists. Ashley Jackson, lovely little drop off, plays across the goalkeeper, walked it into the goal. That's absolute genius and composure from Jackson through midfield, finding the ball forwards to Tyndall. Tyndall finds Carson. Carson finds his brother to knock it back around the goalkeeper. What's that? Less than 60 seconds later.
Yeah, this little layoff from Carson is that it sets up the whole move, draws in the defender, and gives Tyndall a lot of opportunity to find James on the far post.
It's just moments ago we talked about Tom Carson on the far side of the pitch holding the ball, drawing defenders in, and sometimes it's actually playing slower that is more effective than just trying to play at warp speed, having the composure to drop off. And that, even the final touch, quite easily, James Carson could have tried to slap that through the stationary goalkeeper. Didn't, had the composure just to roll it wide to his brother, who finishes it into an empty net. OG's 2, Oxted 0. 9 minutes gone, so less than 60 seconds between those two goals. Oxted, however, in the circle, can they create something? Trying to peel round, finds a foot, and they do get their first penalty corner. It's absolute end-to-end.
Yeah, fast starts the game, it's cracking so far.
We also managed to talk to George Pinner about a goalkeeper's mentality on penalty corners.
For me, I think it's very much focusing on the process. I've got a couple of things that I look to remind myself on in terms of my stance, because I always feel if when the flick is about to be, leave the stick, if I'm in a good set ready position, I think stand a really good chance of saving it. So they're kind of the key things, but obviously it's team defence, so looking at what's going on at the top and looking to organise the defence accordingly to give us the best chance of keeping it out.
So George talking a little bit about how there is things to look at. You're trying to make decisions based on what you see at the top, but for him it's all about getting out early, static, stationary, and reacting to what the flicker does, not trying to overthink it and working through some processes. Well, we'll see if those processes work with a number of the goals, well, 3 out of 4 goals so far this season for Oxted coming from penalty corners. Tim Guys-Brown. Number 13 on the left-hand, Castle out. It's stopped clean. He picks, he goes long, and that is an absolute rocket of a penalty corner past the big goalkeeper's outstretched hands above his shoulder. Might even have kissed the crossbar on the way in, but what a flick that is.
Yeah, a cracking flick, and spoke a lot about number 1 running. There's absolutely nothing you can do when the flicker puts it there.
Well, that's postage stamp, isn't it? I mean, it's absolute perfection pick. It's a long, slow drag, and then it's that last-minute whip, opening the blade of the stick that gets the elevation. This will be a beautiful angle. Absolutely past Pinner's hands. I mean, that's not quite near the post. It's just gone straight above his head. Pure speed, acceleration of the ball gives Oxted that vital goal to close the gap. So that's pretty much Oxted's first foray into our Georgian circle. Leads to that well-worked penalty corner. Georgians just getting a little bit caught up. Captain Duran dispossessed in the middle. Oxted, a little bit of belief. It just brings a little bit of a spring back into your step, Chris, when, yes, you've conceded 2 goals back-to-back, which is demoralising. But then to get straight back on the score sheet, really important to keep that gap tight.
Yeah, definitely, particularly sort of Oxted being low down in the league, having not scored many goals, that'll do them the world of good. I think both teams now need to just not get caught up in end-to-end hockey, and it's a really good opportunity for a team to kind of put a stick on the ball and try and gain some composure and some possession into this game.
And with that composure, I guess it helps. You need to reshape. You need to get everybody back in their normal position. If you're playing too quickly, you can just get into random overlaps and you find people in weird positions. And that take a breath is just suddenly just reset, get some shape, get some width, get some height.
Yeah, and that might take something from a 16, just to kind of someone to put a stick on it, let everyone set up, get into positions, and go from there.
Third man! Third fullback!
Georgians sitting deep, Tyndall leading the press. 1 man on his own there, the 3 midfielders sitting behind him, pretty much on the 23-metre line. Oxted finding channels.
Hold the middle back!
Lateral play, still trying to work this back 3, Oxted. Guys-Brown just holding the back as the pivot. Touch off Atkins' stick, giving Oxted the long corner. Looked like the ball went straight into the circle from that sideline hit. Maybe it was touched just fractionally out.
Yeah, and that's really good defensive play there from old Georgians. As you can see, you can kind of tend to tell when teams have set up defensively well. If they're a zonal team and they're gone man-to-man, if they're forcing teams backwards and they're getting back into a zonal shape, you know you've done a pretty good job on that, which we saw there.
Oxted forced the turnover into the circle, stepped across. New boy with his late call up. Dan Bowden having to step across and be on his mettle. That looked like a huge stick block, but it was allowed to carry on. Forward ball from Elliot Messon. Tom Duran, the captain today, just trying to thread that forward. Running out of turf.
Stay in the game. Stay in the game. Porter, sub.
3.5 minutes left in this first quarter. So OGs took that double goal lead early on. That brilliant rebound from Messon, followed up by a beautiful flowing team move that Tom Carson ended up tapping into an empty net. But then Guys Brown narrowing that deficit. Now difficult. Durant steps in on a reaching reverse. Almost steals it. Ryan Kavanagh in the end, able to keep possession. Just a little bit scrappy for Oxted.
That one. And that one.
Ropey tackle from Jackson. That was I'm bored of this. I just need to break this down and stop it. There was nothing pretty about that at all. And whilst it's not great, it's professional, and sometimes you talk about composure, you just need to slow stuff down, and if that means there's a heavy challenge goes in, or you just kind of step in the way, it does just change the pace of what you face. So we have to accept it can't be pretty all the time. Just pause there in case Tyndall manages to get a stick on it. He'll roll round, does so. Reversing shape tackle. Yeah, it's just that composure for teams.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely a smart way of doing it. So you don't want to be going swinging in sticks, but you might potentially step across the line of your player coming through just to kind of stop that.
Reverse stick takedown from Bowden as he leads across the pitch. Really difficult to get those hands all the way around. Know where the opponent is, get enough of a touch. Oxted down a player, green card shown for the heavy challenge on the far side of the pitch. So for it's probably another 90 seconds or so. Still creating the width though, they haven't used that as a catalyst for sitting back and sitting deep. Still pushing forward, trying to create offensive opportunities. Still good pace in this game, even towards the end of this quarter.
Yeah, and I think we kind of saw last week the kind of long corners being a key area of the game. I think it's going to be very apparent today. You saw the speed that Tim Guys Brown flicked that ball there, and I think that's a real key strength for those who are trying to get the ball deep in the circle with sort of power drags and hits deep into the circle for their forwards to get tip-ons in the end.
45.
He's missing a man out. Rough touch from Fleet. Sometimes it happens though. A bit of a skip off the turf or just looking forwards a little bit too quickly. Got some defensive support back, however. OG's managing to get men back through midfield. Oxted choosing not to throw too many men forwards into the attacks. So definite defensive opportunities for OG's to set themselves up. Forcing Oxted back. And a relatively harmless transfer. Cut and field could possibly have carried on going all in one go. The cut and field gave so much space to Ollie Whiteley as he came through. I thought he was just going to carry on running it. Now 2-on-2. Carson doing everything he can to support Messon. Messon sees the cross ball, but just gets intercepted. Crucial touch with just seconds left of this quarter. Running cover from Ollie Whiteley, who just suggested might have done some more offensive damage. Bobbly ball. Dan Bowden gets it away though. That's absolutely beautiful from Albury though. What hands!
Again there, yeah, that's a carnage he's been causing all season.
What you have to enjoy though is what it wasn't on the screen here. As Albury got that at the right hand side, down and left wing, James Carson is signalling for it as if he wants a 50-metre aerial off the right foot whilst Albury's sprinting. I know he's good, but he might not be quite that good.
Yeah, slightly ambitious, I think. Not saying he can't chuck it, but yeah, with three guys around him, that's probably slightly ambitious from James.
Well, at quarter time, the break in this first half, we have that scoreline of Old Georgians 2, Oxted 1. in this live stream brought to you by Galvanised Hockey and OMB. Old Georgians took the lead and then doubled it within the space of 60 seconds. Messam absolutely on his mettle to pick the rebound up off the post on a penalty corner for Old Georgians. Then Tom Carson finished off a flowing move. He helped create with a beautiful little layoff to Tyndall and then an interchange between the two brothers. We thought at that time the heads could have gone down for Oxted. However, they came straight back into it, and their first penalty corner of the game led to no other than Guys Brown stepping up to get himself another goal. He's got 3 out of 4 of Oxted's goals so far this season, and that gives him his 4th. So at quarter time, we have Old Georgians 2, Oxted 1. Your thoughts on what we've seen so far, Chris?
I think it's been a very, very high-paced game so far. Old Georgians sort of dominating early proceedings, I'd say. But as you said there, and as we saw with that penalty corner, the game is so quick, and all it takes is one really good opportunity for them to get back in it. And Oxted took it, and they've been very, very good so far.
Certainly good for keeping that gap. Again, similar to University of Exeter last week, happy to step out. They're not overawed by their opponents. They're not sitting back and inviting pressure. They're willing to go through the channels, go through the gears, trying to create and maintain the intensity. Just some of those decisions that I felt it was summed up a little bit by Ollie Whiteley moments ago. When he broke through that midfield channel, there wasn't then that incisiveness of run, which we are seeing from Georgians. It wasn't quite as direct, and maybe that's something that they have to address.
Yeah, and that's what we spoke about before the game, is obviously they've played a certain way to get into this league, and they very much want to continue playing that way and impose their kind of mark on this league in the way that they played to get in it.
Yet another overhead straight down the throat. That's turned over header right for minute 1 and finished. Well, there's a question about whether the players are 5. That's what Oxted are unhappy about, but that ball's thrown straight over the top. It's exactly what we talked about, Griff, at the start of the actual game. It's been thrown down the throat of Guys Brown. He's taken it down, but Oxted suggesting they should have been given more space to allow the ball to be taken down cleanly, but capitalised on as Carson and Carson show. Again, the double team leads to the ball being split into the bottom corner of Fred Whitfield's goal. Here we see it.
Yeah, again, great chuck forward. Looking at it, I'm not 100% sure it's 5. Might have got away with on there, but as you said, that kind of direct ball set that up.
It's that interpretation as well, isn't it? I'm not obviously our umpire community can happily tell us across all the social media channels about whether it is now a prescriptive 5 or if nobody's kind of getting involved at all. If you're standing there at 4, 4.5, I mean, how are you going to judge whether it is actually 5? Certainly it was stepped on. That looked like a huge backstick in the middle of the circle. Managed to get away from it though, but it's that, if it's taken down and you're just holding your ground, if the first touch is heavy and bounces away, I can understand why you want to be able to pounce on it. And to me, that's the hockey you want to see, because it just feels fair. I appreciate that moment it doesn't to Oxted, but in principle, if you chucked it down, if you get a heavy touch and it bobbles away, you shouldn't kind of get 2 bites at a cherry.
No, I think that's exactly it. And I think as a player, you're obviously frustrated by that from Oxted point of view, but now that's kind of they've blown this game. I think as a player, you want just consistency throughout the game. So if that happens in favour of Oxted later in the game, then that's fair game.
I think they do. Oh, first touch, unfortunately, they've got through it. Pinner's come out big. Has he got enough strength? I don't think he has. That's on the line. It's going to be a stroke. Immediate reaction from Oxted to counter-attack. There was space on the baseline. The zonal defence wasn't set up in line. The front marking at the back. That's gone through. Round Pinner. Pinner came out big with a left foot and a stretch reverse. Neil Smith having a conversation with Ashley Jackson. I think Martin Twist was too far away to help.
Yeah, that's great composure there, forward. A lot of people would tend to just kind of smash the ball towards goal, hoping that it gets through. But as you see here,
this first touch that wasn't clean was actually the touch that made everything. That's beautiful to go around the goalkeeper. Then around and flicked at goal, but I don't know what that's hit. The appeal is that Ed Fleet's got that either on his hand or his stick. Ashley Jackson away out of in shot is asking for the video replay. Looking at it on here, you can see why they were a little aggrieved, because it did look like it hit Fleet on his hands, but in that moment, Neil Smith put his hands up. Martin Twist can't help. Oxted a chance to narrow the gap once again. Guys Brown looking to add to his 4-goal season tally. It's George Pinner. Steps up, slots it low, past the big goalkeeper, doesn't go high as he did on the penalty corner, just pulls down and low. OG's 3, Oxted 2. Just a penalty corner and a penalty stroke for Tim Guys Brown.
Yeah, that's a really nice finish. I think, I don't know if it's playing on George's mind with the kind of corner going high, but sort of slotting it low there. Really good finish.
Well, this level now as a goalkeeper, it's a long time since I've been anywhere near between the sticks, but it feels like it's just a case of just go big one way. There's so much power that you athletes have from that distance. You go, well, there's no point in me standing there and waiting and trying to guess. Just go big one way. If you get yourself in the way of it and it hits you, then so be it. But difficult to do, because as a goalkeeper, you always coach, just watch the ball at all times. So rather than guess, difficult to get your mind in the right place.
Stay up, Nick, stay up. Yeah, nice, good.
Good little transfer. Oh, Georgians being sucked into the middle of the pitch. Page reading that underarm slap. Georgians haven't been able to get a clean touch now. Oxted down the right-hand side, cutting in field, a little bit untidy. Spinning round, suggestion of obstruction. It certainly felt that way. Double spin in the circle, not going to get away with that. Absolutely, as Nick Giles just turns and twists one way. I thought he was going to get blown a lot earlier. It looked like he left the ball behind him. Must be difficult as an opponent. If someone's carrying the ball outside, let's say left hip, and you're in front of them, how do you even try and get a clean tackle?
It's tough. It's tough. I think that's where you kind of need to use your body a little bit, as we spoke about earlier from that breakdown from Jackson. I think initially really good play there from Oxted to kind of break Old Georgians' press, trying to get in through that numbers that they crowded around the ball. But then they kind of missed the opportunity to really accelerate and go forwards there. Sort of just held on it, which kind of allowed the Old Georgians' defence to get back slightly.
And it's that bravery to give the ball to a teammate who might have 2 or even 3 opponents around them, because you can recognise if we can go in there and safely get it out again, we have massive space in other areas of the pitch, but it does take a really brave mindset.
Yeah, and I think playing against zonal, you kind of get caught in the mindset that playing 2 or 3 yard passes seems quite irrelevant. But it's really completely the opposite. You want to try and, as you said, get it into a pocket to draw 2 or 3 players around you, and then it's bang, bang, quick passes, and then you're away from that.
Carson goes 1-1, nearly gets a touch. Composure from Guys Brown, beautiful. Drive down this right-hand side. Eyes up, Cam Hill just trying to force his way through. Fleet and then Tyndall. Out, eyes up, choosing to go further back. Guys Brown again. Split full-backs looking to create some lateral transfers. Going long to the baseline. Very long. There's a conversation between Fleet and Pinner at the moment. Pinner with his arms outstretched, suggesting they're having a conversation, saying somebody should be, or Ed Fleet asking for Pinner to tell him there's that overhead opportunity behind. You do need your goalkeeper to be chatting. So a little bit of confusion between the two. Shrugged off the challenge, driving in one-on-one into the circle, gets it across. Pinner's got it wrong. It's between his feet. He's got absolutely caught up with a horrible touch in front of him, and it's touched in on the far post by Mark Galloway for the equaliser for Oxted. Not quite sure what happened in the middle of the circle. We'll see now. Lovely little bit of movement. Gets in. Ball fed in, must take a touch off Ed Fleet in front of Pinnock because he gets his feet completely wrong. If he doesn't, then that's poor goalkeeping from England's number 1. See here, does it get a touch? Into the circle, played because it does get a touch. Yeah, Fleet in front of Pinnock plays it into the inside of his right foot and then touched in on that far post. Relatively straightforward finish, but under pressure from the diving goalkeeper. With 25 minutes to go, it's Oxted 3, Old Georgians 3. I've got to say, when Georgians scored 2 goals in 60 seconds, I didn't expect to be standing here talking over the top of 3-all, whatever it is, 10 minutes later.
Yeah, 6 goals in the first 25 minutes of this game is end-to-end so far, and I think it's definitely a chance now for a team to take a hold of this.
Well, Georgians happy to keep that high press. Duran leading it, the captain's armband. The ball gets away, good little roll off from Oxted. Composure under pressure, finding the width out onto that left-hand side. Lovely little slide pass. First touch is a beautiful one, but Albury with some absolute wheels has managed to steal it off Chris Porter.
Go, fellas! Let's move, let's go!
Carson trying to find Duran. It was a disguised long flick. And as an opponent, when somebody's got the ball on the stick like Carson, who's got so much disguise on the drag, you're almost guessing which line he's going to play.
Yeah, I think at that point you've just got to look up, try and find your man, and hope it doesn't come towards you. If it does, you're so close that it's a great pass. Yeah, just trying to find your man and hope that you're close enough that if it comes anywhere near you, you've got in a position to pick it.
Discipline and communication vital across every line, from goalkeeper through the back lines, to make sure that route one ball is denied. Georgians trying to find it on more opportunity. At the moment, Oxted just finding a little bit more joy, particularly down this left-hand side. The first time pass and touch to create a little bit of space. That's a great early ball. It's going to be That's right on the whistle. Oxted still wanting to take the balls quickly, play the balls on fast. Lovely little 1-2 interchange down that left-hand side. Threatens the reverse, gets feet round to play it across. It's a flashed ball away from Carson, right in front of his goalkeeper. Super interchange and exchange by Oxted down that left-hand side.
Such good play. I think that's a prime example of teams not staying up quickly defensively and able to go quickly.
Oxted thinking that they got the corner. Didn't feel like anybody was far. It felt very messy inside. First time sliding attempt to get the ball across goal from Lewis Fraser comes to nothing. Long corner for Oxted, forced back. There's a little bit of a scrap inside the circle. Atkins penalised and leading a little bit of a exchange with driver.
Centre half, Jordan! Jordan, centre half! Keep the ball.
Guys, Brown plays the ball in, it's taken down really well. Cunningham having to step in clean, upright. He's a fantastic cricketer, James Cunningham, so he stepped into that and forward defensived it down because the ball, whilst high, wasn't dangerous from Guys Brown. Probably a little higher than he would have liked, I think, but at the moment it feels like the frantic nature of the play is playing into Oxted's hands more than OG's. Defence feels to me a little bit ragged.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of testament to the quality that Oxted have got going forwards. As you saw there, the kind of interchange between forwards. As you said, at the moment, it seems to be really suiting Oxted's players.
Interchange, stepping in front of Jackson, who got caught flat-footed down that right-hand side. Eyes up, Jordan Turnbull trying to get the ball into the circle. Pinner having to come out, kicks hard and clear. There's an impact in the circle. Pinner suggesting that he was taken out off the ball. Either umpire thinking it was anything. Might be a word. Neil Smith put his hands up to his ears to suggest there might have been a little bit of communication with Martin Twist, the disengaged umpire.
Tom, if you're ready.
Pinner feeling that the impact from Nick Giles was after play. He's a big lad though, he's covered in a lot of foam, he'll be all right.
I think that's what the Oxted bench was saying just behind me.
Left hand, Nick, left hand.
What a brilliant running take from Guys Brown. His eyes are up. He's made 40 yards just from that overhead takedown. First touch into the circle. Challenge from Atkins is a little bit woody. That's in and off the crossbar. What a finish that is. Absolutely drilled in off the crossbar. I think that's Sam Driver who's finished that off, but it was all about Guys Brown on the overhead to start with. Took it down, made such distance.
Yeah, phenomenal finish, and I think that's kind of the way they've set up, trying to force it slightly with that overhead. As you said, a great pick from Guys Brown and really direct play. As you said, could have been easy to sort of pick it, transfer it, but now he thought, I'm going to carry it 10, 15 yards, play the ball direct into the circle, and a phenomenal finish from Driver there.
Driver's absolutely middled it. You don't stop both. That's underside of the crossbar. But it's still shaking now, 15 seconds, 20 seconds later. There's a route on ball though. Tyndall's found it, goes one-on-one, gets the foot as well, probably gets a stick tackle for the corner, but gets a shot away. Goalkeeper in the way of it. Composed second phase from Fred Whitfield, having taken that ball down, left hand saved down to his feet. Tyndall certainly put a bat through it though. Oh, clever. Sometimes I think that's deliberate. So sometimes as a forward or a high player, that little skip that you put on the cross pass makes it so hard for defenders.
Yeah, particularly as a forward, all you need is almost a poor touch that allows a goal scoring opportunity. Whereas a poor touch for a defender could drop on your foot, could knock you off accidentally for a short corner. So that little skip is very much in the forefront of your mind when you're delivering balls into the D. 7 goals, I can't believe what we're seeing here.
31 minutes in. It's not, like I say, it's not an advert for defensive play, is it?
Well, as a forward, I'm pretty happy with the opportunities that we're watching here. But as you said, yeah, defensively, I think both coaches would be pretty upset with this at the moment.
Oh, caught on the ball, was always going to get caught on the ball, took far too long. Tyndall knew what the opportunity was, going to pull it back across, surely. That's a great tackle in the end, because Tyndall had absolutely set the defender up completely. Lewis Fraser doing so well to get his feet around it, because all he wanted was to pull that across him and find the foot with a shooting chance. Raj Panesar got absolutely robbed in centre midfield. What a touch that is from Atkins. That was nearly another Oxted opportunity right in front of Pinner's toes.
Let's go, let's go. Jimmy, watch through you.
Messam steps forward well, except in the overlap from Oxted. Ollie Whiteley again rolling down that right hand side. Lewis Fraser trying to create something. Makes the long corner. One thing it feels like is more important than anything else in a game of this tempo is that pre-scan that people talk about, knowing what you're going to do next and not getting mugged. We'll come back to that in just 1 minute. Shingles yet again comes forwards. Does he manage to get a touch on it? Messam still on the ball, trying to play it in the circle. It is going to be a penalty corner. It was ugly on about 13 different phases as they ran through the left midfield channel. In the end, the outcome being the penalty corner. Third one for OGs. Changed the decision and overruled from, must be with support from Neil Smith. Free hit. I think Shingles is trying to make his point by taking it inside the circle. Certainly looks like it from here. That's a good tackle, low defensive hand on a stick. Jackson just scrapping in the middle, trying to get the ball back in. OG's on the ball, looking for angles, trying to play it, finds the baseline, eyes up across the circle, finds the foot with a disguised pass. That will be the third penalty corner for Old Georgians. We managed to chat to another one. The Old Georgians players, actually Jackson, we caught up with before the game.
And mostly what's running through your head at the top of the circle is you're just trying to work out like who's running and the goalkeeper and what his traits are, and then you'll make kind of like your best decision as to where you think you're most likely to score. So yeah, like a quick equation, working out your percentages and then taking on the chance he's going to score most times out of 10.
So Jackson talking about how you make the decision at the top of the circle, looking at the defence. Really difficult though when the defence take this long to align themselves. You just basically got to go with your favourite routine, haven't you?
Yeah, it tends to get into a bit of cat and mouse. The defensive team are trying to look at the attackers and vice versa. So I think this late on you're probably going to go for a straight flick or a routine that we saw earlier.
Well, Jackson has been charged down on a couple of corners. It was the slip flick from Carsten that paid dividends. Jackson now, however, going bottom corner, flips it off his wrists, levels the scores, 4 apiece right on the stroke. 35 minutes gone on our time clock. Fred Whitfield finally beaten down to his left-hand side. Jackson's come in, hasn't gone high as he sometimes favours, and he slides that past the goalkeeper's left foot.
Hold it, Title.
Makes it look so easy from this angle. postman, you've got to say, has stepped outside the line of the post. A lot of coaches would favour the postman standing infield and trying to play off their shin, so if they miss it, then it clatters it into the leg, the shin pads. It gives you that second option. Oh, overhead, that's static, and that's a corner in the circle where it's coming down to. That's absolutely spot on from Neil Smith. I've got to say, that's a static Oxted player to receive the overhead, and two defenders have closed him down inside the D. That's the point of the foul, that's the corner. So in the overtime of this half, so the clock stopped a couple of times by the umpires for a variety of reasons, changing the ball, a couple of cards, so a card. Therefore we're into overtime, but Old Georgians having just equalised from a corner of their own. Oxted, with only their second penalty corner of this half, I think, certainly have a threat. We couldn't see 5-4 at half-time, could we?
I certainly hope not, but I think coming back to the overhead, I can see why Ed's gone for that, with his sort of interpretation of the new rule of allowing intercepts, but as you said there, it's probably slightly too close to the D, and probably a slight element of danger there, which is, as you can understand, why the corner's been given.
It's just that composure. That's where, as a goalkeeper, I think George should be calling him to not go into that space, recognition of what that pressure point is. It just feels a bit frantic. Can Oxted capitalise? I think we know what's going to happen. Stop, clean. Guys Brown takes it through. It takes a touch off number one runner. Neil Smith says play on, and then perceives there isn't any real advantage from it. Shingles has stepped out on the second phase as well. Twist was supporting and signalling. Only seconds left of this half, you would see. Reward for Oxted. Can they get the shot away? Third penalty corner. There is the half-time whistle. Oxted will send up the remainder of their players, giving them more opportunities on rebounds. Well, with that many players, would you change what you do when you've got one of the league's best flickers at the top of the circle, or would you just give it a go and hope that the extra players pick up the rebounds?
I think Tim would be wanting to flick this himself, to be honest.
Oh, let's see. Straight line. It's a bad injection. It's just slightly off, but it doesn't matter. He's gone past Pinner's left hand. He's gone across. The stopper had to step probably a metre away to get a clean trap, but then Tim Guys Brown got it away with enough of an angle. He's either gone round the number one runner, or he's just dragged it dead straight with pace up past Pinner's left hand. And at half-time here at St George's College, we have the incredible scoreline of Oxted 5, Old Georgians 4.
Yeah, as you said, the key in this is the trap. It tends to be, as you step to a missed injection towards you, you can tend to trap the ball inside the circle. So to get that out, it takes a lot of skill, and as you saw there, a great flick to finish.
I thought the Guys Brown actually gone round the feet of the number one runner to to reduce the vision of Pinner, but it wasn't the case. He's gone inside the number one runner. It was just pure pace past his left hand that he's generating off this turf. Wow, it's been a half. We've started with that double for Old Georgians, and it's gone backwards and forwards to give us that 5-4 scoreline in favour of Oxted. So we've got some highlights to show you that, well, if you're as breathless as we are here, we'll take a breath while you watch them.
More goals than we've conceded and scored the other 2 games all year. No, we've been waiting for all of this, that's what it is. Giving me a delay.
The teams are coming back out here at St George's College after an incredible first half. We'll talk about that in a minute. I've been joined here on comms by Lee Morton, replacing Chris Griffiths. Chris, thank you very much for what you did. But Lee, before we go into the game itself, this is the second game that we've streamed here. How important is it for sponsorship, for the club, for hockey, to get more onto these platforms?
Yeah, I think it's massive just getting that exposure out to everyone. And I think especially in these times where all the games we can't always have spectators, so I think for people being able to watch this at home, it's massive. So yeah, I think it's one good thing that maybe Beeston have been doing quite a lot, and hopefully a lot of other clubs can follow suit. But yeah, I think it's been massive to get the games on TV, and what a game we're treated to today.
Well, yeah, thanks to OMB, the logo at the bottom of the screen, the payroll experts, they've sponsored this and the presentation so far to get it here. It doesn't happen by magic. A number of people are involved in getting it onto this stream for you. So we hope you're enjoying it. As I say, Chris did the first half for us, joined by Lee Morton for the second half. Half time here, would you believe? It's Oxted 5, Old Georgians 4. That is correct. It's not an indoor game. I'm fairly certain both coaches might have had a little chat about defensive alignments, But Lee, just before we get pushed back, if there is a moment, your thoughts on what you've seen in that first half?
Yeah, I can't quite believe it. I think if you're talking about coaches talking about defence, I don't think Oxted will be too concerned. I think they'll probably want it to be an open game. That might benefit them, but I definitely think Mike Hughes will be talking about shoring up that defence, because can't have another half like that from them.
Well, there was definitely a problem with the alignment in the old Georgians back line. Oxted able to find space round the sides, down the baselines, and even route one at times. And then when you've got the prowess of somebody like a Tim Guys-Brown on a hat-trick already, 2 penalty corners and the penalty stroke, certainly they can do damage from set plays. Old Georgians have been dominant through midfield in terms of how they've stolen the ball away, the pressure that they've put onto the ball carrier. So as soon as a Oxted player is dwelling on it, in particular Barrage Panasar got robbed late on in that first half just by staying on the ball for 3 or 4 seconds too long, and that's what they have to be careful about. Route one ball from Guys-Brown, eyes up, peeling round, good body control and body position, playing it down onto the foot to win the free hit from Nick Giles, and Oxted already with early territory. We're speaking in the first half, Lee, with Chris, about how when it gets frantic, whose hands does that play into? And you alluded to an open game that Oxted would want, and I think it is Oxted who will benefit more if it gets fragmented and gets broken.
Yeah, I think so. I think Old Georgians will be looking to kind of control the game and use their quality that way. I think Oxted will probably be quite happy if it's end-to-end, like there, for example, just working on the break. So I think Oxted will be happy with how it's going. Old Georgians are the team that probably has to change the game and control the ball.
Oh, Atkins tries for the underarm slap, a disguise slap, but read by not one but 2 players. And again, that ball falling. Lockery getting back, however, he's given away possession now. Atkins facing the 2-on-1, ball into the circle. That's a heavy challenge. Oh, gets away with that. Oh, nailed on penalty corner, you ask me, and with your chuckling face next to me, you think exactly the same.
Yeah, I can't quite believe that's not a corner. There's no ball there, it's all stick. So I think Old Georgians have got away with one there.
Well, big call from Johnny Stevens, the Old Georgians manager, and a little bit of discontent from Old Georgians, suggesting that there wasn't enough effort in defence, wanting players to run and to work. Nice little disguise pass from Aubrey under his arm, finding the baseline. Little dink along for Carson. Carson trying to find some space. What a great turn and shot from Tom Carson. He's danced on a sixpence to get his feet round and get a bat through that.
Yeah, I might have to ask him to teach me that in training on Tuesday. Not quite sure how he's got that. He's just found a little yard of space. Unfortunately, it was going wide, so that's why he's been blown up.
Yeah, Neil Smith, the umpire, in a little bit more danger than the goalkeeper on that instance, but has danced nicely. Oh, nice little opportunity. You can see Mark Galloway trying to stretch to get the first time deflection out to Chris Porter on this left-hand side, just in front of our commentary position. That edge forcing Atkins all the way back. Fleet finding the width. Aubrey deep in that left-hand side, wants the centre-half position, needs someone to move. Everybody is static on that sideline. There's nobody. Only now is Jackson rolling back in, and he was in a lot of trouble, having to run out himself. Great ball. Carson going one-handed, tries to tuck it back inside.
Inside, Gallows, inside first.
It's not a great pass out to Shingles. Any player just wants it on their forehand. Atkins, however, out on the slap, and it's driven across. No touch, harmless. As Jackson drove across there, so he then tried to drop it back out to Shingles, but the difference it makes, he's dropped it out to Shingles' left foot. We'll just pause just a moment, Atkins, clean as you like. So that ball to Jackson was on his left foot. It just makes it so difficult. If it's a metre out of position, or even half a metre, so hard to then do anything with it.
Yeah, it's just getting that ball in the right place, that little bit of technical detail. If he gets that on his right foot, his front stick, he can play instantly, whereas his first thought has to be control, get set, and then the next action.
Lovely ball, just slightly delayed. Carson stepping back in. You could see the attempted ball was just that that inside ball for the lead through. We were on exactly the right angle here. Oxted making some good forward movements to try and link up. Goes to the backhand, difficult ball, chopped across, takes a touch. Aubrey gets it away enough. There's a hint of backstick because of the way the ball was popping. Twist happy, however. Aubrey again leading across, finds Atkins. That's a good release of pressure. Old Georgians with some width. Shingles first time beautifully executed, but the touch was too heavy. Just, you can feel there's just a little edge, and if there needs to be a bit of control from both sides, because cards are going to play into it. It's been played at this intensity, just a man down for 2 minutes, worse, or 5, suddenly will change the shape of this.
Yeah, quite a frantic game, as they still going end to end. But like you say, yeah, I think it could kind of boil over, so both teams just kind of have to settle down, just take care of the ball, take care of the basics, and make sure you keep 11 on the pitch.
Degree of confusion. Ollie Whiteley in front of us, suggesting why is that a free hit? Now that's gone up like a sand iron. He's taking it down cleanly, but a little bit of pressure, a little bit too close. Crossfield ball, 3-iron. What a pick that is from Duran. One hand, outstretched reverse. Had to take it down, it had to be clean. Because behind him, Sam Driver was just waiting for that to drop, and his first touch would have taken him straight in towards the circle.
Yeah, big stop there from Doran. I think if it doesn't go in, if he doesn't get it, sorry, then you're looking at Oxted being straight in at the D there, so massive stop there.
Now there is cross-field for Oxted if they can find it, driving at Shingles. Drew Shingles in and then played the ball away, finds space. Aubrey just steps in, both hands on his stick. OG's having to be so careful. In the end, it's Jackson who gets to stick in. That bouncing ball along the baseline, so difficult. It's come in, intercepted by Carson. Carson going one hand. Oxted, however, recycling, getting the ball back under control, rolling it back out. Guys Brown resets. 2 men at the back. Oh, Tyndall putting pressure on. Obviously getting away, but Carson happy to chase that as well because it's not quite settled for Oxted at the back. Tyndall tries to get the ball away, but was struggling with it. Aubrey, twisting and turning, goes to backhand, plays it across. It's not a clean ball across, a little bit of a bobble on it, but they're the difficult ones as a defender.
Yeah, I think there was also from Tyndall. Bit of play at it, gets the ball, gets hurt, gets Phil, and he's straight back up. But yeah, I think any sort of kind of bobbly ball into these tough to pick, but I feel like as Old Johnson, they don't need to crash it in yet. There's plenty of time to go, so they can still build up and look for a solid outcome.
Well, Oxted, however, at the moment, able to step in front defensively. They're getting themselves into a channel where they can just step and intercept the ball in. Some confusion there. Oxted think it was their ball. Shingles just trying to get it in play as soon as he possibly could. Seven and a half minutes into this third quarter. Any of you who've just joined us, you've missed an absolute corker. 5-4 at half time. A pair of goals from Old Georgians within 60 seconds suggested that the game would just run away from Oxted, but they came straight back into it. Teams traded goals, and we thought that Georgians had equalled it up at 4-4, which would have taken that score into half time. It didn't, because Oxted went straight down the other end and scored one of their trademark penalty corners to get that 5-4 lead at the half time break. Georgians, however, find a little bit of space. Jackson tries to take it, and that's a beautiful tackle. He didn't pull it far enough across his body. Georgians now have to scramble. Driver, eyes up, gets into the circle. Can he get it past Pinner? He can! He's drilled that! That's gone 60 yards in 5 seconds after Jackson got turned over high up the pitch, trying to pull it across underneath his feet. A beautiful tackle played through the first time ball to Driver, who rolled it down that right midfield channel into the circle and smashed it, absolutely clattered it past Pinner into the bottom corner. Oxted 6, Old Georgians 4.
Yeah, I think a nice calm composed finish from Driver there. Oh, as we're on the attack.
Yeah, we're still on the replay, but as we're on the replay, thanks for flagging that up, Lee, we see Old Georgians go back down the other end. I'm running out of paper to write this down, genuinely. So I've just about scribbled down that Driver got the 6th for Oxted, as Old Georgians have gone back up the other end. With a little bit of movement, Ed Carson has finished that off into the bottom corner for 6-5 for OGs. Well, all those defensive chats that the coaches gave at half-time have come to absolutely nothing.
Yeah, a lot to digest there. I was just going to talk about great finish from the Oxted for their goal, but it all comes.
Belgian Panasar using his size and his reach just to hold Shingles off, but then the backhand attempt to backhand cross means nothing. Jackson gone overhead. Albury takes it down. Great first time ball to pull it infield from the overhead. But even so, as Tyndall goes to smash it in, you said just moments ago they don't need to go Route 1 direct yet. And just moments ago, it's Jackson on the 16 walking it forward. He's an international class midfielder. Why is he taking 16s? It just feels it's got a little bit out of hand.
Yeah, I think that's just where you, like you were saying, just control it, set up, get in your own positions, and then you can play out there. But yeah, end-to-end game so far in the second half has been exactly the same.
Well, can either team find that composure that we're talking about? Oxted just moments ago stretching their lead to 2 goals with a fabulous finish from Driver. Jackson dancing on the reverse to get that ball out of his own circle. Georgians have managed to bring it back to just the 1-goal deficit with that counter-attack. Carson in the end finishing it off. Ed Carson. But I certainly wouldn't want to predict the end score at this moment in time. 10 minutes into the second half. We've only had 11 goals. Anybody who wants to wonder about the excitement of top quality domestic hockey, please feel free to watch the replays of this. Pinner sprawling down to his right hand side. Or as some coaches say, go to the floor to score. Jordan Turnbull diving off his right shoulder to try and get that past Pinner inside his far post.
Yeah, just coming back on the goals, I think Old George will be annoyed with the one they conceded. So I think the 5th goal, the 5th goal, they had the ball in attack, it's then turned over, they've conceded, and then obviously going up and scoring like straight after, I think Oxted will be really annoyed. You know, we said they don't mind an end-to-end game, but when you've just taken a 2-goal lead, you probably want to just compose it for even a few minutes.
Yeah, people talk about goals in coming together, don't they? Whether that is you score a goal and then you try and really hard to score a second, because mentally that's an absolute soul blow for an opponent. But at the same time, you score, you relax, you take a breath, the opportunity opens up. It's the same as why goals are scored at the beginning and at the end of halves, isn't it, or quarters, because teams aren't mentally in the right place. And this now, to me, because it's got so frantic as a scoreline, this comes down to mental application and composure.
Yeah, I think from Old Georgians it was good bounce back ability once they conceded that 6th goal to go up and score instantly. But yes, it now just needs someone to put the stick on the ball, calm everything down, and just secure the ball and make smart decisions. I think that's the key thing for both sides if they want to win. It's just making smarter decisions on the ball and not turning it into a game of ping pong.
Oh, it's certainly a trip into the unknown for Oxted. Fred Whitfield, the goalkeeper, came past us at half time and said that first half sums up the entire season. That's the same number of goals they've scored and conceded in the whole season as they have done in 35 minutes. So certainly for him standing behind it, he's going to have to get some messages right. That's a lovely diving tip-in attempt from Carson off the backhand ball drilled in from Albury. Is that not a foot? Certainly touched something. I've no idea. I can't nail on it touched the foot, but it certainly touched something on the way through. The ball pitched and changed height. Neil Smith, however, not seeing anything. Martin Twist, his colleague. Neither team actually asking for too much. And that's what we spoke about the Griff earlier on. That to me is so you play on. If you take it down cleanly, you're a top quality play. You take that down cleanly, and then that's a massive overhead. He's double touched that out of the ground. You take it down and crack on. If you're not trying to step into that space, I understand if you edge it or whatever, then you get the benefit of the doubt. But don't take it down cleanly and then try and ask for distance.
Yeah, and I think Oxted have actually played it really well with their aerials into a lot of spaces.
They turn that down. Page turns it over in midfield, and Georgians have got numbers. That's 3 on 6. Can they get it across? They can. There wasn't some complete commitment from Ryan Kavanagh on the far post. That's just get on your nose, son. Seriously, that's come across the face of goal. We can't see the exact distances from here, but it looked like if he just committed to throwing far post. As a forward, you're looking for a situation there, surely, where if there's an attack down a baseline, somebody has to commit to the far side of the goal as hard as they can.
Yeah, it's the key on making sure that not everyone comes out the D, so you've got to make sure you've got at least one forward kind of hanging in the D there, maybe one to post up, so it's a short pass. But yeah, you've got to be keeping someone in there. That's probably a forward's dream, for a ball to come all the way across and for no one to be on the end of it. It's probably a little bit disappointing for them.
Well, certainly as a goalkeeper, when you look behind you and realise there's nobody there, you can change how you're standing. Yeah, that's a lovely little turn. Infield, can they get it across? That's come up. Not sure who it's come up of. Oh, yeah, it's been given to Oxted. It looked like it popped up off a Georgian stick in the first place, but we can hear the calls from behind us now from the Oxted bench about patience. Don't try and play at over speed. Bit of composure. Nice little ball out to the left-hand side. Good carry position. One hand tries to come in field, but that's good defence from Atkins primarily. Stick flat, hand on the floor. You're not going through there. It's a weak carry position in the end from Nick Giles. One hand outside his left. Channel to nothing, but Oxted will get that with a free hit, you feel. Carson's got to get out of that space. He can't tackle. Atkins steps in behind. Ball across the circle, needs to be taken. Albury does take it down. Crabs his way out. A little bit of impact on his shin pad. And comes away with the ball under control. Again, still looking for these overhead route ones. There seems to be, it feels like there's a split for Georgians between the front line that all run away on 16s. They've got 4 or 5 men at the back and there is nobody in this hole. That looks like it's going to be a card for some sort of a nudge on Jackson. Didn't quite spot it. Is that green? Did you see that? So it's a green. 2 minutes suspension for Ollie Whiteley. They'll be down to 9 outfield and the goalie, so 10 on for 2 minutes. And Jackson's still down, which will be of some concern. Whistle is, time is off at the moment, so whilst our on-screen clock does continue to tick down, recognising the actual game time has been paused, so when we get to the end of the game, that's 70 minutes, there will still be a little bit of added time. Jackson just does hit such a beautiful flat backhand from almost a more upright position.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones for any normal player, you'd probably be like, get it on front stick, but yeah, he's so consistent with his back stick, probably say it's better than his front.
That's a vital intercept from Albury, who is absolutely bossing certain parts of this field, but he has to, because Oxted are just really bustling through channels. Beautiful little infield ball. Fleet gets in for the tackle. Panasar gets his feet round, back foot, chops it across. Needed to be a first-time clearance. In the end, that's class from Carson. Little bit of an open six. Shingles looking long. Carson can't get beyond Guys Brown. And there we have the whistle for quarter time break. So only, dreadful really, 2 goals in the third quarter to take us from the 5-4 half-time scoreline up to 6-5. Oxted with that 1-goal lead after another 17 and a half minutes of fabulous hockey. Both sides going toe-to-toe. Bit scrappy, bit frantic at times, but exciting nonetheless.
Absolutely, it's definitely a game for the neutral. If you're a supporter of either side, you're probably a little bit worried, a little bit tetchy of how it's going. But yeah, I think that last play is a prime example that Oxted are probably looking at some aerials and that's their game plan and it's working really well. Old Georgians probably not their game plan, but they're kind of getting stuck into it, and that last one was an example. No real need to chuck it unless he knows there's maybe 10 seconds to go. But I feel like they're aerialing the ball, are trying to go forward really quickly when they can just build up. There's still plenty of time to go, so I'd rather have 5 really good attacks than 15 maybe good attacks.
Well, it certainly feels like the clock is going to become an issue in this game as it starts to tick down. Will it have an impact on the mental condition of either of these sides. Will Oxted start looking at it and counting down that time, thinking this is an amazing opportunity to take all 3 points? Will that then affect them? Will they become more defensive? For Georgians, will they start to panic? Will they go to the route one that you said they shouldn't go to quite so early? What will either side do? Or are they just going to go toe-to-toe in a 17.5-minute slugfest? We'll see.
I think they'll still go a slugfest toe-to-toe. And then maybe the last 5 minutes, if it's still the same score, then Oxted will probably try and calm it down then. But I think with 17.5 minutes to go, if you try and keep ball for that whole time, you're just getting yourself set up defensively. And then there's going to be a wave of attacks. So I think it will stay the same. And then when it gets towards the end, that's when one team might put their foot on the ball and just really slow it down.
Well, both these sides have shown that they can get from end to end and score goals within 10 seconds. So trying to hold out for 17.5 certainly isn't going to be on either coach's game plan, you wouldn't think. However, it'll be those mistakes in the midfield channels. The players dwell too long on the ball. Do they get punished and penalised, and does it get taken off them? Or is it quite simply going to be a case of who keeps their width, their stretch, plays the ball around the back, a little bit of transfer and transition, and just takes control of this game in terms of tempo? We shall see. 17.5 minutes to go here at St George's College in Weybridge. Incredible scoreline. Oxted 6, Old Georgians 5. Neither side able to get more than that solitary goal back since that early 2 goals from Georgians. They have traded blows. Sometimes there's some fantastic goals, sometimes there's some scrappy ones, but that doesn't matter. It still gives us the scoreline. Georgians stepping forward with Carson to Shingles. First time tries to find Tyndall. Doesn't do so, but gets a top edge. Georgians still have it. Playing forward from this, it's lifted up from somebody, stepping forwards late, the ball raised up into Carson. It's going to give away the penalty corner. It looks like it came up from Peter Friend. And as they start to talk about this as a penalty corner, the two umpires chatting to each other. We managed to get some words earlier in the week from James Tyndall.
So the penalty corner, I think from us, we've got a couple of ways we do it. One is we've got Mike on the sideline kind of giving us the calls with the analysis we've done before the game, what the goalkeepers like to run, but also on the pitch we've got enough experienced heads that we kind of have a bit of a committee just to say, right, this is it. There's a hierarchy in it in terms of kind of who makes the call, but actually we all know our jobs, and then it's just get down and kind of concentrate for the 3 seconds just before the injection and then really go for it.
Not Tyndall talking about the concentration, the hierarchy, and knowing what their jobs are. Jackson on the top off the single castle. Shingles will stop for him. Different to last week when they ran a double castle routine. Tyndall gives the option off that left-hand side if Jackson is being closed down as he was early on in this game. Oxted set up 3-on-1 defence. 3 defenders to the goalkeeper's left-hand side, trying to block out that corner of the goal. Out to the top, stop clean. Shingles in. Jackson goes high. Takes that hit off the number 1 runner above the knee, and that's within the 5 yards. That's brave, strong defensive running. That's a big hit, and he hasn't even flinched.
Yeah, he's taking that like a champ there. I'm not quite sure where it hit. It looked like it might have been towards his shoulder. I'm not too sure, but yeah, he just kind of walked it off, and he seems good to play. So yeah, great running, very brave, and he's took the hit very well.
Well, and sometimes in games like this where it is so close, you need players to step up and to be big and brave. That's backstick. Poor execution of the ball down the line. Atkins has stepped in and picked it already. Aubrey looking for the overhead, drags it under his feet with a little bit of disguise for Tyndall, just tries to roll underneath. Shingles with the layoff. Tyndall not quite getting the touch, but Shingles with the step in wins the foot. Oh geez, get the free hit. Aubrey in towards the circle, drives around clever, pulls it under his feet. Little touch inside the circle by Friend, feet round for Oxted. Surely looks for the release down the line. Does so. Shingles covering a huge amount of ground today through midfield. Dan Shingles.
Yeah, I think he's had to, because it's been such an open game. Neither team controlling it, really valuing possession and building up. So yeah, I think everyone's covered lots of ground today.
What a take that is. Atkins is covered behind, but that's a beautiful takedown on the reverse. Atkins goes long under his arm, finds Shingles. Shingles takes the contact, takes his eyes up, just jogs round, turns his body and resets. That sort of decision in midfield is going to be key for either team.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like he wanted to wind up reverse, but again, it's just getting that ball secure, making a smart decision, and it's resulted in them getting an attack, but they still have high pressure, so a really smart decision just to control the ball and make a 100% pass.
That's what you were talking about just moments ago. I lose track, the clock's going down so fast, but you were talking about you'd rather have 5 good controlled attacks than 15 kind of half-baked ones where they're a little bit scrappy and a little bit hopeful. That's a lovely ball in. Good goalkeeping. Blocks that up from Carsten. Denies it, but they've given it back to Tyndall. Tyndall on the backhand! Gets it out somehow from underneath his feet and gets his hands low enough to blade that past the outstretched foot of Fred Wyman. And that is 6-all. Here we see it. This is the attempted clearance, unfortunately forced to Tyndall, and how well does he do to get that, get his feet out of the way and somehow pull that down inside the post?
Yeah, I think Oxted will be disappointed. They've cleared it down the middle, and that's allowed the chance to be had.
Yeah, disappointing. It's that composure. Lewis Fraser just trying to get it clear and just flips it onto Tyndall's stick. Yeah, he's still got a huge amount to do with it. So, with, what's that, 14 minutes to go, plus a little bit for added time, we have LG's 6, Oxted 6. Around the back, lovely little movement across the goal. Surely there's positions on the far post. Pinner stays big, but there's a foot. Wow, Pinner's gone big on his near post. He's got enough of a stick on it to deny to far post because it was Nick Giles with his eyes up, bursting into the right-hand side of the circle to try and see the pass.
Yeah, it's been...
So we've just got Dan Shingles who talked about the importance of number 1 running, just how much they need to get pressure on the top of the D.
So as the number 1 runner, or one of the number 1 runners at penalty corner defence, my job is to effectively listen to my goalkeeper's wishes. So we have a number of set plays and routines, and my job effectively is to run a tight line protecting one side of the goal, using my body if necessary, but mainly making it difficult for a drag flicker to have big space in the goal to shoot at so the goalkeeper can defend less effectively.
So Shingles talking about basically he does what his goalkeeper tells him to do, runs as tight a line as possible. Sorry for cutting you off earlier on, Lee, but we just get those little moments that we can just feed in to give a little bit of insight. However, given the prowess of Tim Guys-Brown at the top of the circle, I'm pretty certain stop it and flick it is the call on this one. Out, long drag in, Pinner, right foot, gets out there, big double save, that's off the body, however, of Atkins. It's going to give another opportunity. Pinner with a big right leg gets enough on it to play it through and then follows it up with a save by moving back to the injector. Well, Guys-Brown has got 3 already, 2 penalty corners. First one high up to George Pinner's right hand side over his right shoulder. The second one wide past his left hand. He hasn't yet gone low on the corner. Maybe we'll see that change. His hat-trick was a penalty stroke. That's better from Pinner. That's a solid left hand up over his left shoulder. Got enough on that. You can see that's gone outside the circle, almost off the goalkeeper. He stepped up and he's big. That hasn't got the whip on it, which I think is what deceived him on the very first flick of the day. And then some strength from Old Georgians' defence leading to the foul. Allows them just to reset, recycle the ball, get people back into the right positions.
Yeah, really good save from Pinner there. I think it was, if he didn't get that hand on it, it was going in the top corner, so massive moment there. Just before the corner, I was going to say, I can't believe how one team scores and the other ones are running straight up, and it happened again. Old Jordan score, and then straight down the park, Oxted go and get a corner and almost get another goal to retake the lead.
Which I appreciate for you with a degree of link to one of these sides. For me, I'm loving it. Absolutely. Really appreciate the game. It's great to talk about, but I'm fairly certain the coach might be a little unhappy about it. So either side going toe-to-toe. We talked about crudely a slugfest through the course of this game. Neither side giving quarter. Would Oxted sit off and invite pressure? They haven't done. Ball into the circle, across from Albury. Where's that gone? Wow, that's... Okay, Oxted suggesting that Albury didn't get that cleanly. He must have just got enough of the ball there in order for it to come away. No whistle. Both teams continuing to play. Third party obstruction, you'd suggest. It just needs to be calmed down. Martin Twist getting on top of that. Early call. Big whistle, just so the teams in these late stages, what you don't want is uncertainty. Carson, Tyndall working, Tyndall, eyes up, tries to find Carson. There's a lovely little ball infield. Carson now eyes up, tries to find his brother, doesn't do so. It's a good step forwards, scrappy, but a valuable turn in the hard defence. Ollie Whiteley dancing off his toes. Not quite sure he needed to turn there, either just run away from that contact. Yeah. To be fair, that has nearly taken Carson's head off. He may not have been 5. So it is an Oxted retake from where the free hit actually was. Neil Smith suggesting that everybody was far enough. Looked like Tyndall was about 3 yards away from that. That's the hope. Ollie Whiteley doesn't take that as another opportunity to fire a slightly lower ball. That's an OG's ball, surely, yeah. OG's right in front of us. Bursting forward, Lockery finds the ball to Carson. Carson, little layer, finds Tyndall. Tyndall down the right-hand side, gets his eyes up as he drives baseline. Carries the ball off his hip. That is ugly and late. Tyndall very, very clever with the lead. You could see how he left the ball behind him and accelerated his body, inviting the contact. To me, there was no other decision that Neil Smith was going to give.
Yeah, I think that's clear cut, and I think we spoke about it in the third quarter that the game was starting to kind of boil over and get a bit tetchy, and we saw it there at the sideline. And I think that decision is just kind of one where a bit hot-headed, a bit caught up in the emotions, and didn't really think about what they were doing. And yeah, I think you said clear penalty, so I'll be interested to see what Jackson does and if old Georgians can take the lead.
Well, the pressure penalties that I've seen Jackson take over the years, he likes to top bin it. He steps up there in glory. What he does now, I have absolutely no idea. There's a yellow card being given as well for that penalty stroke challenge. It was late and it was ugly. Frustratingly for Ollie Whiteley, he was the player chucking the overheads just moments ago, and it feels like, and I can't say it was, it feels like he's got involved in the mental part of that decision, got things a little bit late, get a little bit heated. Jackson, as we said, goes top bins, you don't stop those. And suddenly, OGs take a slender lead. We have probably 10 minutes left on the clock because of stoppages. That's OG's 7, Oxted 6. An Ashley Jackson penalty stroke gives them the 1-goal lead. I'm glad that graphic just changed because I was looking at it thinking, have I called that wrong? I'm fairly certain I've counted all the goals.
Yeah, unbelievable, Simon. I don't think anyone would have guessed we'd see a scoreline quite like this. And like you said, Ashley Jackson has taken a lot of penalties in his life, looks for those kind of top bins, and he found it.
I said at the start of this game that Oxted, whilst relative new boys at this level, had a pretty good defensive record, so it would be about whether they take their attacking chances. They've taken their attacking chances, you have to say. However, defensively, both sides have been a little bit open. Although we've got to give them credit, there's been some great goals from both sides. It hasn't just been scrappy and horrible tap-ins and ugly goals. There's been some fabulous goals. Carson leading wide. That takes the overhead. That's consistent from Neil Smith. It's exactly the same as the first half. Oxted advantage at the end of that first half with the ball coming down. Whilst neither side are happy with it, it is exactly the same for both teams.
Yeah, I was speaking to some people earlier on in the game, and yes, it's been consistent, but I think it's such a tough rule to work because it's all about interpretation, so every game might be different. I thought the one in the first half was a bit harsh. Again, there, it's consistent, but I'd still say it was harsh because the ball was there to be won. It's still high in the air, so for me, I think that's okay.
I think it's the hardest rule in hockey. Full stop, cross every single level about how you blow that, how you blow it and blow it consistently. To me, whilst I don't like either decision, it is consistent, and therefore I think all the players can accept that. Not at this particular moment because they'll be upset. But if you look at it in analysis, so Jackson to the right-hand side off a shingles stop. I've got to admit, I've tried to count corners. I've completely lost track of how many either side have got. Jackson will take this. Will he go for the slip behind the body? He does. Can they get the ball away? Carson, that's a brilliant bit of goalkeeping. Absolutely fabulous. Shingles, has he got it away? He has got it away yet again. He got 2 last week. He's got 1 this week. That one isn't going to go to the top of his highlight reel. But with some fabulous goalkeeping on the slip flick by Fred Whitfield, the ball then falls inside the circle. Georgians managed to recycle. We'll see it here. The slip away. That's a brilliant bit of goalkeeping. It comes out behind Carson. They can't get the ball away. We see on the replay that Shingles hacks at it. If it comes down, Carson manages to keep it in play, but they're away already down that left-hand side. Ed Carson gets it across. The goalkeeper, it's fallen through his feet, and that's 2 in probably 30 seconds. All of a sudden, Messam, he scored the first. He's got another one. That is 9-6. OGs have scored 3 in 3 minutes. Yeah, that's quite incredible.
Yeah, I think just before the 8th goal, also heard George Pinner and Ed Fleet at the back discussing what the score was because they weren't quite sure. Again, almost another one for Shingles there, but then Messam was there just to tap it in. Yeah, and the weird day of scorelines wouldn't be complete without a Dan Shingles goal.
Well, Albury has been brilliant, robbed. And this is just turning into an end-to-end. We talked about it being toe-to-toe. Jackson tries to carry that out on his reverse stick, does so, and then protects the ball enough. Just needs a degree of composure now. For Old Georgians, you have to say now is about mental composure. Sit that down. Dan Bowden will take that overhead down and look up, just get the ball in play. Ed Carson leads, tries to get the ball on his backhand, misses it. Messam putting pressure up into that bottom defensive corner for Oxted. Ball in. Page plays it across. That is Tyndall to finish. That's goal number 10. Double figures for Old Georgians. What an incredible 5 minutes. All about the pressure in the bottom corner. Not allowing Oxted to get out of it. It started, I have to say, with the card. All of a sudden, Oxted have been playing a man down. And overall, I think, well, if the man's still here, we thought we saw a green. So that would have been a 2-minute suspension. It can't be that. It must have been a yellow.
Yeah, I think there was the first green and then the yellow for the
penalty stroke.
Yes, for the penalty stroke, yes.
Yeah, so Oxted has been playing a man down. I was going to say there seemed to have been a lot of space. Sorry, we missed that completely, but that has just given Old Georgians the opportunity to step forward. Now, Guys Brown having to carry it forward. It's a lovely ball, but it's not where you want the man to be carrying it forward with his kind of prowess. You want him distributing from a relatively static position, not having to break through tackles and challenges. Invites turnover. So Tyndall with the 10th. Yes, 10th. So with about 5 or 6 minutes to go, we have Old Georgians 10, Oxted 6 in an absolute thriller. The highlight reel will be the entire 70 minutes for anybody who wants to watch it back. Galvanised Hockey have got their work cut out as we now have a penalty corner for Oxted. Georgians will set themselves. Guys Brown will go to the top of the circle. His prowess very much something they need to play into. If they can get a goal on the board, well, given what we've seen, it still isn't a final result, obviously.
Yeah, and I think quickly touching on what you said about the card, I think you said it in the third quarter, that card could be key, and with the intensity of the game, being a man down just means a lot of hard work, and I think that's been the difference in the game.
Well, they talk about fine percentages. They talk about, I mean, at that very top level, 0.5% somewhere, what can happen, and that you're looking at one player out for 2 minutes, suddenly you've got to work 2 or 3% harder, the legs get 2 or 3% tireder, you then get caught up, as we said, in that midfield battle with a free hit that could have gone either way, and then you're a little bit late for a tackle, and suddenly you can almost document that progression from a little bit of frustration into penalty corner, card and 4 goals. Pinner gets his feet together, does very well to do so. Ball popped up, Pinner steps out, bottom of his foot there, still stays big, left hand out into a defender. So triple save from Pinner, does very, very well. It was the first one that was actually the more important one because he somehow clipped his heels together just to stop that ball going between his feet. He then stays big, and when it pops free, he launches a foot at it, base of the foot, then stays big enough and balanced to get a left hand on the third phase down into the opponent. Important saves from the big England GB goalkeeper.
Yeah, good shot corner defence there, and I think that's been the case the last few where they've kind of limited what Oxted can do, and I think that's probably been the difference of why they've kind of shut them out the last few minutes to allow them to take the game away.
It's 5-4 at half time, don't forget, 5-4 in Oxted's favour. They took that to 6-4 with a goal from Driver, bursting in down the right hand side on a counter attack. Georgians then really didn't find anything until that card. That card for the tackle on Ashley Jackson out on that right-hand side defensively just led to the overlap and a little bit of niggle, and then suddenly Georgians have absolutely capitalised on the space as that gets smashed into Fleet on his foot. But good advantage played, intercept from Shingles, and he will find Page out on this right-hand side with space. Goes in field now. Has he got the pace? He has. Little reverse. That's a vital touch from Guys Brown. Taken by Tom Carson. He slides it across. Reaching reverse from Friend. Friend just flat slaps the ball away. And Oxted just try to take a breath.
I think we need to take a breath as well. This has been an end-to-end game. Can't quite keep up with playing what's going on. But yeah, I think even over in the last few minutes, it's still end-to-end open. No one's really said that that's probably the game done. Let's just keep the ball and see it out. They're still going for more goals, both sides.
Well, I think that's the only thing. If coaches are watching this, they might ask the question of you've not, I don't think, seen either side change the tempo. So it has been very much one pace from both sides, albeit an exceptional pace, but it's been one pace. That, however, is the final whistle that lets the players finally draw breath. They started ferociously. They carried it on through all 4 incredible quarters. Obviously, OG started it with those 2 goals from Messam and Carson inside 45 seconds. They then just traded goals all the way through. So we got a half-time score of 5-4 in favour of Oxted. That went to 6-4 with a goal from Driver. And then that decision, probably 60 seconds, changed this game. Impact on the right-hand side, a green card, led to a little bit of niggle in midfield. A contested free hit led to a late tackle, a penalty stroke and a yellow. And in those 7 minutes in total, Old Georgians came out and scored 4, 5, I'm really sorry, I lose track, a lot. Some of them brilliant, fantastic finishes, some of them some scrappy defence by tired players. But both sides choosing to go toe-to-toe. Lee, as I draw breath, your thoughts on that? That was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier, it's a game for the neutral. If you're a fan of either side, it's probably a tough watch. And I think everyone here will be going home having a lie down. I'm not sure how you analyse it at the end. Do you go into much detail, or do you just say it's one of those days, you went toe-to-toe? The intensity's been great. In terms of the control, probably not there. So I'm not quite sure what either coach will be saying at the end.
Yeah, certainly a difficult one because, as you say, there are so many moments in there, positives and negatives, that you could draw out. The analysis of that could take you all week, and it's probably better just to focus on 2 or 3 simple things that you can really pull out of that and analyse and put right. If you try to put it all right, then I think you'll be there for a long, long time. Oxted, however, I think certainly in the first 3 quarters of the game can be happy with what they achieved. The new boys at this level, they haven't scored a huge number of goals. They've defended pretty well, but suddenly they found some spring in their step. They decided to come here and take on Old Georgians, and that, I think, for the first 3 quarters, they'll be really pleased with.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think for those 3 quarters you could argue that they were maybe the better team. And I think, as we both alluded to, that first green card is where it kind of started to maybe go wrong for them, because then they got a yellow card, and that's 7 minutes of hard work with a man down, and that's maybe what just allowed Old Georgians to take that next step. And I think once it maybe got 2 ahead, that's when they kind of maybe knew the game was over. But they still gave it a good effort, so did both teams. But I think that card was probably the big difference today.
Well, as Old Georgians go into their huddles to try and analyse this and maybe take a breath and be composed, we're going to wrap up here at St George's College in Weybridge. What a game that was. It started frantically, it finished frantically. 16 goals. Really fabulous pace, some precision, some scrappiness. But it was brilliant to be here to watch. I was Simon Mason, joined by Lee Morton and Chris Griffiths on Colour Comms. This presentation brought to you by Galvanised Hockey and OMB, the sponsors for today. Thank you to them for allowing this to happen. We hope it can happen again in 4 weeks' time, which I think is the next home game here against East Grinstead. Can't promise right now we'll be here, but we'll try to be. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll play you out with all the highlights from a fabulous game here in Weybridge.
I don't know myself, everyone like, how we learned 7 is fucking, I don't understand. But
I don't think we missed many chances today, like stats-wise. Maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like we were pretty clinical. We were taking the extra pass when it was right, shooting when it was right, and fucking hell, we needed to be today. So if we can now match up the defensive stuff we've done well the last few weeks, going forwards like this, that's when like the magic starts to happen. So I think the forward line, we've had a bit of a kicking recently. That all changed in the yellow card. Out of a lot of trouble. Put me out with that.
Gents, we need to talk as a group, so usually if it's now you where you go, I'm going to shoot off you, so you're not shooting off, we need to talk as a group, but I'd suggest you get your bags, you go over, have a beer, if there's beer up there, a Coke, whatever you want to have. There is beer? Yes. We were tackling it, we have a chat over the clubhouse, please. We need to have a talk. We'd be really good if we did that. 16 goals. Don't say it's not Dan, stop working, man. Stop working for the first one. I mean, it's 6-5 down. I mean, I should have said it before the other goals.
Are we going to be first on match of the day after that? What's the deal?
You've got to be first on match of the day after that.
First on match of the day, half an hour longer?
I don't know. 4 hour highlights. That's the moment. 5-0